Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. As we look at the movement to protect, preserve, and expand our rights to own and use and carry firearms, there are a lot of groups out there, but one of them that I think is doing, and I know it's doing really well, but I think has the potential for doing great things, is the DC Project, founded by Dianna Muller. She's a two-time national three-gun champion, professional shooter, retired 22-year veteran of the Tulsa Police Department, serving in some pretty nasty areas. She's one tough cookie. She's what she is. She joins us right now. Hello, Dianna. How are you?
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Well, you got to be a tough cookie if you got to put up with all these competitive shooters you're hanging around with all the time.
You know what? I fell in love with the people in the shooting sports, and that's what kind of turned my attention back to competitive shooting as opposed to the barrel racing that I was in. So they're not that bad.
Exactly. So why did you start the DC Project? How did that get started?
You know, it was kind of a light bulb moment. Myself and my husband, the Mitchellicks, were on the East Coast going to matches on bookend weekends, and we had some time in between, and we fill it with touristy type stuff. And we were at our congressman, we were in Washington, D.C., and a friend of mine said, do you want to meet your congressman? And I was I had no interest in politics. I wasn't plugged in. And I said, sure, I guess that's what you do. And it was during that meeting that the light bulb went off. And I think God just put it on my heart that, hey, there's something that needs to be done to reach and educate these legislators that are making horrendous decisions that affect all of us in America.
Well, part and parcel of that. And the DC Project, for people who want to take a look at it, it's dcproject.info, I-N-F-O. It says DC Project Women for Gun Rights. Part of this, I have to think, is saying, hey, this whole moms demand thing where they're trying to pretend that all moms want gun control, all moms want to ban certain guns, and you basically say, no, you don't speak for us. Is that part of it?
Exactly. And, you know, we have had several women that were anti-gun or didn't grow up with firearms and didn't understand until they had their own light bulb moment, and now they advocate for the Second Amendment. So we are stacked full of those types of people that understand that the Second Amendment is for everybody and that firearms protect my family, and they are necessary to security.
Obviously, you know, people have known about the DC Project, but it really got elevated when you sat there in front of Congress and told the committee, says, I will not comply with your gun control laws. And you, a career police officer, saying, I will not comply with your gun control laws. You shook up a lot of folks with that.
Yeah, I did. And I shook myself up because after I realized, look back on what I said, I was like, whoa, I saw Jerry Nadler's face, and I knew that I had dropped a bomb on him. But then again, I turned around and I'm like, wow, that didn't sound so good. But it was honestly, it came through the heart. I had no intentions of saying it. It came from the heart, and I think that a lot of people now understand what's going on with the tyranny that we're looking at. That there is a point at which we aren't law-abiding gun owners; we are responsible gun owners, and we got to get away from that language because they are going to legislate us into being criminals. So, and they're gonna, you know, you say you're law-abiding, well, you start messing with the Constitution and my constitutional rights, then you're no longer eligible to tell me what's law-abiding and not. So we are all responsibly owned gun owners, and we want to protect our Second Amendment because we know education is the key to safety and not legislation. So 2020 really opened a lot of people's eyes. We see more gun owners, first-time gun owners and everywhere, and it kind of opened the eyes up for us too. We couldn't go to Washington, D.C. because it was shut down. And so we were like, and we saw Virginia fall to an all anti-gun legislation in 2019. Yep. So we were like, well, I think the fight is in the states. So let's push out the women. The one lady that used to come to Washington, D.C., let's ask her to go back and do the same thing at the state level. So we really are getting traction. Those relationships that are on Capitol Hill, they have led to us testifying. We've testified three or four times this year. Early on this year, there were several hearings that were going wham bam in the Senate Judiciary and the House Judiciary. And I have testified yet again, and I think I made Nadler mad again by telling him that the Second Amendment was not written for hunting. It was written for a tyrannical government. So he made a comment about that, and he thought he didn't like me.
Well, that's okay. You know, it's okay to be not liked by people who are actually the enemy, and I will just say this, the enemy of freedom. And Jerry Nadler is certainly that. Anybody that wants to restrict or take away your gun rights is saying, we don't trust you because we understand you don't actually trust us. That's what's really going on here.
He is so disconnected from reality. So, yeah, it's been a really cool ride. I had no intentions of doing this, but now we have like a full-fledged organization. We really want to complement those people who are out there, you know, whether it be NRA, GOA, any of the organizations that already exist. Mm-hmm. We want to complement them and really just be that trunk monkey that, you know, we need you to deploy over here. We need you to deploy over there.
That's right. Push the button, and these crazy women show up, right?
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. The trunk monkey doesn't have to be crazy. It just has to be deployed.
Well, you know, one of the things that I've been noticing, and we've got the data now, because they're saying that almost half the people who are first-time gun buyers now are women across the board.
Right.
And I was noticing something recently. I'm on this Facebook page for hunters in my state, and all these people are posting their pictures of their deer and all. And after a while, I'm thinking, it's like finally breaking through my brain. There's an awful lot of women and a lot of young women who are posting pictures of them with their first deer, going out and hunting, you know, buying their guns, talking about this, to the point where it shouldn't be, but it is absolutely exceptional what's going on right now.
Right, it is. And you mentioned the expansion and the growth that we're seeing. I'm actually in Gainesville, Florida right now at Big Daddy Unlimited. Let us hosted the DC Project, first ever DC Project State Director training, kind of a summit. We're training our state directors to go out and be effective to influence their friends, influence their families, their communities, and their legislators in their home states. So, yeah, that we're growing. We're going to companies, and they're seeing that what we're doing is really helping. So we've got Mossberg stepping up with big money. We've got Sig Sauer stepping up with big money. We're talking to these Brenda Potterfield of Midway USA. She's seeing what we're doing, and she's pledged $20,000 for the next 3 years. It's just been amazing, the support that we're getting from our community, and we want to let our community know that we are growing. We're going for a bigger budget than a real budget, because we have not been. We've just been kind of operating on a very small, tiny budget. And, you know, we're going up against Moms Demand Action. You mentioned, you know, we are a counter-visual. Yeah, they're $36 to $60 million a year, depending on election years. So millions of dollars that are going to influence the same people negatively against guns. We are the female voice, the really hyper-focused on holding back the tide of anti-gun propaganda machines using women. So we have the women's voice. They don't own tragic stories. We have several tragedies that we can share, and we're never going to be victims again. So our voices in this hyper-feminist world we live in, our voices are definitely, we carry a little bit more weight these days, because everybody dismisses the old white guy as that's what the gun ownership looks like, and it's not. We all know it from our perspective. And so I would love for anybody who is interested in supporting us to go to dcproject.info or reach out to me, Dianna Muller, 3Gun, Die3Gun on Instagram. There's so many ways to get a hold of me. And we would love to partner with like-minded individuals or companies.
Yeah, and anybody who's thinking, I like this, frankly, when women show up to speak at the legislatures, you get a little bit more attention, you get a little bit more respect, and sometimes it's because they don't know what you're going to say, and sometimes they're surprised at what you say, but all of that is good because you get a voice, and it's a different voice and a different perspective than they have been getting for many years, and it's a very effective voice. I just want to applaud you for what you're doing, and I'm just going to encourage you, anybody who would like to participate in this, anybody would like to donate, great. But if you're a woman, especially who wants to get involved in this, you guys will actually provide the training for them and make use of them.
Yeah, we see that the education is the key to safety, not legislation. It's kind of our tagline. But we see education as a two-part thing. There's an internal and an external. The external is when we meet our community and our legislators and let them know what a real gun owner looks like. But internally, we need to teach the choir the words to the song. They may be humming along, but they don't know the words to the song. So it's really up to our community to teach the choir what the words of the song are. And that's what I kind of did on another vein with the Ambassador Academy. I want to say that the next Ambassador Academy is coming up February 26th through March 2nd in Orlando, Florida at WAFT. And that's a really intensive media training for brand ambassadors or really anybody. Honestly, the information that we cover goes over any kind of life skills that you would need to be successful.
Terrific. And it's dcproject.info. Dianna Muller. Dianna, thank you for what you're doing. And look, anytime you want to get on here and bring us an update, you're always welcome, okay?
All right. Thanks, Tom.
All right. You take care.